We're here because free speech is under attack. We're here because people are being convinced that socialism works. We're here because people are being judged guilty until proven innocent. We are fighting back with facts. This is not a safe zone, so buckle up, Buttercup. This is the raw, naked truth.
Joe Manchin moves closer to a third-party run. More anti-Semitic attacks, changes to your taxes, and more. Welcome to the Raw Naked Truth. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin, and here's the news you need to know. Israel has agreed to daily 4-hour humanitarian pauses in northern Gaza, where Israeli forces are concentrating their combat against Hamas. The agreement formalized a recent series of brief windows without violence that have allowed some aid to enter the Gaza Strip and permitted civilians to flee south. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reiterated Thursday night that there would be no ceasefire until Hamas releases all the hostages it captured in the October 7th attack. U.S. National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby called the brief daily pauses a positive first step towards addressing the humanitarian crisis caused by Hamas using civilians as human shields and taking resources from Palestinian civilians. Senator Joe Manchin announced Thursday he will not seek re-election next year, saying leaving the Senate is one of the toughest decisions of my life. Manchin's departure in his deeply red state gives Republicans a good chance to pick up the seat and hurts Democrats in their effort to hold on to a narrow majority in the Senate. Manchin would have faced the toughest race of his political career, with Governor Jim Justice and Representative Alex Mooney running in the Republican primary. Manchin didn't say whether he had decided to retire from politics or run for a president as a third-party candidate backed by the centrist No Labels group. He did indicate he would be traveling the country trying to unite centrists. Canadian police on Thursday began investigating gunshots fired overnight at 2 Jewish schools in Montreal. Bullets struck the front doors of the facilities, but nobody was injured. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau condemned the violence, which followed clashes between students over the Israel-Hamas war at Montreal's Concordia University that mirrored similar fights seen in the United States. I understand that people are so profoundly disturbed by what they see happening there, Trudeau said. But violence, hate, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and scenes such as the ones we saw in Concordia University or shots fired at Jewish schools overnight, all of that is unacceptable. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell indicated that the central bank's policymakers were in no hurry to raise interest rates again, but would do so if necessary to cool the economy further and contain inflation. The Fed earlier this month decided to keep rates unchanged in the 5.25 to 5.5% range. Inflation has come down since a summer 2022 peak, but remains above the Fed's 2% target. Powell, speaking from remarks prepared for an International Monetary Fund conference, said Fed leaders had made progress, but were still not confident they had restricted monetary policy enough to achieve their goals. The IRS announced on Thursday it is adjusting tax brackets upward by 5.4% to account for inflation. The new limits, which will give some taxpayers a break in 2024, came after the IRS expanded the bracket by a historically large 7% last year when inflation peaked. The annual adjustments are designed to avoid forcing workers into higher tax brackets, so-called bracket creep, when they receive cost of living raises. There are 7 federal income tax rates. The lowest, 10%, will apply to single filers making up to $11,600 and married couples filing jointly making up to $23,200. The top rate, 37%, will apply to single filers making more than $609,350, and married couples filing jointly with income above $731,200. That's the Raw Naked Truth. You can catch every episode of The Raw Naked Truth at xvadio.com/podcasts, the Apple Podcasts app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, Amazon Music, and other platforms that respect freedom of speech. We'll see you next time.